Penny drove the Purple Austin through the dark country night. The moon had not yet risen. The streetlights were few and far between on this side of the river. First a little random starlight, then the lights of the town twinkled off the surface of the river. Each point of light was an inestimable jewelled treasure, dazzling his eyeballs. The blacks in between sank into terrifying depths, pulling him after them. The aging, constricted interior of the Austin had expanded to become huge and rich, like a Rolls-Royce's. He lolled in it like a king. Luckily, Pete was at home. He seemed amused by Sam's condition. "Come in," he said, opening the door wide. "Barry's gone away for the weekend," he added, by way of explanation, referring to his housemate and lover, a local dentist. They entered a warm, comfortable interior. There were big couches, shelves of books and paintings on the walls. One painting, an abstract, had a light-coloured circle on a dark-coloured ground. Sam looked at it. The circle immediately multiplied, filling up the room, blocking out his vision. There were circles everywhere he looked. He stood in a world of multicoloured circles. Pete laughed. His laughter boomed inside Sam's skull like a PA system with 1,000 speakers. "He's far gone, isn't he?" Pete and Penny sat in the living room and talked, while Sam roamed around, looking at the many decorative objects Pete and Barry had on display, touching them, picking them up, and marvelling at them. He was having great trouble working out what most of them were, even though they were probably quite ordinary. They transformed as soon as he picked them up. Right in front of his eyes, they became something different, then something different again. Eventually, he tired of the endless changes and ran himself a bubble bath. Penny and Pete came and sat on the side of it, talking to him while he played with the bubbles childishly. Pete started to look at him in a strange, more calculating way, but Penny was there to protect him. They had a few drinks and a late meal with Pete. They finally left him in the early hours of the morning. The moon had risen. Penny stopped the car on the bank of the river, upstream from the reflection of the town's lights. The moon's disk was fractured by the ripples on the surface of the river into 1,000,000 fragments that seemed to detach themselves from the surface and blinded Sam. They rose up out of the water like a glittering wall of light. The river was a moving wall of light. Then his attention was taken by the immensity of the blackness all around them and the tiny pinholes of the stars, their brightness dimmed by the moon. He felt the hugeness of it all and understood how the earth was just another pinprick of light in the immensity of space. Time and space faded away. There truly was only infinity and eternity. He more than knew it. He felt it. He lived it. Penny just managed to restrain Sam from throwing himself in the river. He wanted to bathe in the light, to merge himself with infinity and eternity. Penny herself seemed more than a little affected by his condition. Maybe she'd smoked some dope with Pete while they were talking and he was moving round the house unaware. She seemed somehow linked to him, to understand everything he was going through. It was very late when they finally made it back to the rooming house, where they fell in bed, exhausted, and went straight to sleep.